It might have been kinder to execute him, but I leave his fate to the Maker. Why does he interest you? Then his next victims might count you and me as their murderers. That seems highly unlikely. Do you have any sort of papers to corroborate your story? Be that as it may, I cannot release a murderer simply because you are of noble birth. Be reasonable. A Grey Warden. Oh dear, I will have to ask you to leave before you bring trouble on our heads. To defend against the Blight? Perhaps that is a form of atonement. But are you certain you can control him? No, I cannot. There will be too much trouble for us if we are seen cooperating with you. The Maker cares no less for that Qunari's victims than for the thousands who fell in Ostagar. Now, good day. Yes? What can I do for you now? Again? We have already discussed this, and I told you I would not release the creature. He butchered an entire farmhold. Only one of the youngest hid long enough to survive. The child said his father had found the Qunari gravely wounded and took him in. That kindness was repaid with murder. The bandsman found the Qunari just standing amidst the carnage. He did not resist them. He would not say, though he acknowledged his guilt. Even the seasoned knights who apprehended him were disturbed by the carnage. However docile he appears, do not be fooled. That Qunari is a danger. I cannot. Grey Warden though you may be, please leave the Qunari to his fate. I am glad. Your efforts are no doubt better spent elsewhere.
I have a wonder, Alistair, if you will indulge me.
Do I have a choice?
Of the two of you that remain, are you not the senior Grey Warden here? I find it curious that you allow another to lead while you follow.
You find that curious, do you?
In fact, you defer to a new recruit. Is this the policy of the Grey Wardens, or simply a personal one?
What do you want to hear? That I prefer to follow? I do.
You sound so very defensive.
Couldn't you crawl into a bush somewhere and die? That would be great, thanks.
You wish something more of me? I have been convicted of murder. Have the villagers not spoken of this? Are you asking if I feel guilt or if I am responsible for the deed? However I feel, whatever I've done, my life is forfeit now. Either you have an enviable memory or a pitiable life to know nothing of regret. The people of a farmhold, 8 humans, in addition to the children. I agree. 20 days now. I shouldn't last much longer, another week at most. compared to your kind, maybe. There is no difficulty in capturing prey that surrenders. I waited for several days until the knights arrived, because I wished to. Either you have an enviable memory or a pitiable life to know nothing of regret.
A penitent man left to be torn to pieces by Darkspawn. 'Tis a fine example of the Chantry's mercy, is it not? What do you wish of me? If you must. I was not born such. 'Tis a skill of Flemeth's, taught over many years in the wilds. The chastened have tales of we witches, saying that we assume the forms of creatures to watch them from hiding. When a child is alone and separate from his tribe, that is when we strike, dragging the young boy kicking and screaming to our lair to be devoured. A most amusing legend. Changing her form, certainly. Devouring lost children, I cannot say. She has not done it in my experience, though in truth my lifespan is but a fraction of her own. Why do you ask? Is there something specific you wish to know? The form of an animal is different from my own. One may study the creature, learn to move as it does, think as it does. In time, this allows one to become as it is. I gain nothing by studying another human. I already am the same as they are. I learn nothing. So the answer is no, my human form is the only one I possess. Anyone with sufficient will, but the act of transformation is a magical one. 'Tis a spell and thus requires a mage's talents. If you had a notion to learn such a skill for yourself, sadly, you must remain disappointed. There were nights when the wilds called to me, 'tis true. You look upon the world around you and you think you know it well. I have smelled it as a wolf, listened as a cat, prowled shadows that you never dreamed existed. But my life is as a human. I am under no illusions to the contrary. They do not shy away from me. To their senses, I believe I seem like any other of their species. As to what they think, I truly cannot say. Just as I am still human, no matter my form, they are still animals. Thus they cannot speak, even were I to ask. No, 'tis not unheard of in the remote corners of the world. There are traditions of magic outside of the circle of magi, despite what those mages would have you believe. Some of these traditions are old, indeed, passed down as carefully guarded lore from one generation to the next. The zealots of the Chantry would uproot all such practitioners if they could, but as luck have it, some still exist. My mother is such a one. I am surprised you think so. Still, 'tis a pleasant thing to hear. Indeed. Have you an opinion on my abilities, then? Am I an unnatural abomination to be put to the torch? Oh, you're simply full of surprises, little man, aren't you? But enough of such talk. Let us proceed, lest the dust gather on us.
What do you need? You don't have to do that. I know you didn't know him as long as I did. I should have handled it better. Duncan warned me right from the beginning that this could happen. Any of us could die in battle. I shouldn't have lost it, not when so much is riding on us, not with the Blight and everything. I'm sorry. I'd like to have a proper funeral.